Welcome to the Realizations Podcast. I'm Andrea Gordon, your host, and I'm excited to explore the world of real estate with you. In a world where perceptions often overshadow reality, Realizations seeks to redefine what it means to be a realtor. Join me as we peel back the layers of the industry, uncovering inspiring stories and celebrating the good in real estate. Whether you're a homeowner, a fellow realtor, or simply curious, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Realizations, where perceptions meet reality. Let's dive right in. Welcome, everybody, to Realizations. I'm Andrea Gordon, your host. I'm very delighted today to have Renee Ruth on my show. She is a realtor with EXP. She's based out of Virginia. She comes from Canada and has an interesting perspective on American life. And she came to her job as a realtor via being a professor of communications, and she communicates very beautifully. So my question to you is, how exactly did you get involved in real estate? Because you're a producer and in not that much time. So
You're kind. Everyone's journey is so interesting. I think that's why I always ask them, like, how did you get here? Because you don't really talk to a lot of people that are in high school and they go, I want to be a real estate agent. I don't even remember hearing that career when I was growing up. And you knew people did it, but it wasn't like on a list of jobs. And my parents were both teachers. So you do what you know. And so I ended up teaching, and my dad taught and mom both taught high school. So when I got into teaching, I decided to teach higher ed. I was just going to take it one step further, but I taught for so long. And I don't know if you know anything about teaching. I know when you were on my podcast, we discussed what you can earn in various professions. And
Yes, I actually taught at many universities. I have my master's degree and I taught at Sassoon Valley College, New College of California, UC Santa Barbara, St. Mary's College. Back when I was trying to make my living as just a theater director and playwright, I taught. That's what you did. But when I came up, you basically had to wait for somebody to die to get a tenured position in the humanities. And so I was always a lecturer. And at one point I was driving like 3,000 miles a week. I am not kidding you, to get between all my various jobs, because I would be teaching one class here, one class there, and it blew up in my face. I've decided I hated it. I love teaching. Teaching is something I adore.
Me too. I didn't quit it because I didn't enjoy it. It was such a passion of mine. And I taught public speaking primarily. Really loved it. I just love so very theater based, actually. I love taking somebody from terrified to open their mouth. And then at the end of the semester, it was really exposure that I just put them in front of the class so much. They just got used to it and we talked a lot. My podcast, I'm going to say it again and here, but you mentioned they should go do improv. I'm going to tell people they need to go to a public speaking class, because the more that you get comfortable talking in front of people over and over, like the easier it is for you to just open your mouth the second you see somebody, and carry on a conversation. So we called it impromptu speeches, just being able to get up and have something you have to talk about and doing it intelligently. So it was fun to do that, but there's not a lot of money unless, as you say, you get into that tenured position at the right institution. Because even I knew some people that were tenured and still they're not making more than 60K. And I don't know, it depends where you live, how you can survive off of that. For as much work as we would do, it just wasn't. I made a lot less because I was like you. There was no tenure. We called them at my stage, it was adjunct professor. So I was an adjunct and I used to call myself like a little teaching, taught all over the place. I wasn't committed to any one thing or one place. I was just teaching. Whoever would pay me to teach, I'd go. So it was just a lot like you. I didn't have to drive though, because by the time I got in, there was a lot of online opportunity as well, which really just was a glorified grading. And that's the thing. Once I moved into that, it lost the joy, because yeah, the thing that when I got into real estate, I was like, oh, I'm back. You're talking to people again, and you could be like re-energized rather than behind a computer crossing your eyes. So I had ended up getting married at the time, and my ex struggled with income. And so we were drowning. And so I had to do something else. But getting my license that's not why I got my license. I got it because my first home buying experience was so bad. At the time, I was working at 5 universities teaching an insane workload, and I didn't have time to know anything. And I assumed this agent is licensed and that's their job. And I was like, okay, they're just going to go and do. I didn't know what a walkthrough was. I didn't get one. We had
Uh,
written in for all the appliances. So all I knew is I was told to show up at the title company and sign. So we did. And then we got the keys. My agent was nowhere to be found. Didn't say a word. I don't even think we spoke after we signed paperwork, to be honest. But I didn't know any better. And then walk into the house and there's no fridge.
oh my
And
God.
well, we've signed. And I'm literally like, and this guy's not answering his phone. So I'm calling the woman because see, it was Keller Williams that I had ended up working with. And they
Right.
do this like listing agent, buying agent thing. So if you're a her situation was I knew her, but she was only a listing agent. So she passed me to somebody that she called a
Oh,
buyer's agent. She was somebody in town that she moved to North Carolina, but she lived in the neighborhood. So also you feel like you have to work with agents that you meet if it's circumstantial. So I had a friend who was an agent, didn't use him because she lived in the neighborhood I wanted to live in. She told me the house was on the market and I just felt like I should you fell
right.
into this and didn't know that like I had
An
you
option.
correct. I had no idea. I think a lot of clients might feel this way, like they just fall into it. And it's great if you fall into it with a great agent, but I fell into it with a brand new agent
Mhm.
who just did not know what he was doing. And so I'm very lucky. She was going to be my neighbor and decided she better make it right. And so somebody bought a fridge and that's what got put
Okay,
into my house. But it
good.
was so awful that like even the house that I bought, it had a ditch in the backyard. And I remember saying to the agent at the time, I go, what's that about? And he's, oh, I don't know. I think it's just like a ditch. Like he just brushed it off. No, when I bought a development disaster. Like basically, I was at the bottom of 10 houses and it was a 1-year-old development. And all the water from the top, what I learned that
Oh,
spring was all the water from the top of the development was running down. That
oh,
ditch was caused by runoff that was running down and rounding the corner of my house. And literally days after moving in, my neighbor comes and cusses me out because I'm the new owner and that water runoff is threatening to flood his basement. And he's
oh
telling
my
me I
Lord.
need to fix it. And I'm like, fix what? Like, I just, it was so insane. So I just said after that, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get my own license. And then this way, when I go to sell or whatever I'm going to do, I'll know what I need to know and I will just do it for myself. And thinking it's that easy, which is so funny. I got into it
Right.
like you don't get licensed and you know what you need to know.
No, it's like getting your driver's license. You get the license and then you figure out how to drive.
How
Yeah.
to drive. I think this is even harder because there's
Yeah.
way more many than the road rules. But
Yeah.
that was my reason. And then when I realized we were in financial stress, my former
Mhm.
relationship, it actually we were in duress, but I was teaching university and the school I was because I told you I moved online. So we were
Right.
doing chunks like you do spring courses, summer courses, fall courses, and it keeps going. Well,
Right.
that was my bread and butter. Like I had real estate. I helped a couple friends. I wasn't doing it. It was just kind of, oh, do you want to help me sell? I think a lot of agents start that way too. Like I'm going to help a friend. You might sell a couple houses a year,
Mm.
but you don't know what you're doing, can't figure it out, nothing's happening. So all of a sudden I get a call or an email saying that they have no classes for me. Now, the way that online classes work is you'd be paid every 8 weeks. So I'm doing the math. I have no classes. It's May 31st of whatever year that was. I have no classes for the summer. And if I start classes in the fall in September, I'm not seeing a payday till the end of October. So I was like, now I have no money. So I sat there and I'm like, what are we gonna do? And then
Right.
I had a green card though, because I got married. So I had a green card because for about 20 years, all I could do was teach university because that's all I had a visa for. Could not take another job. So
Wow.
thank God I did get married and I could do other things, but like I just sat there, I'm like, wait, I have a license. So I remember I was driving back from Canada from visiting my family and I'm driving the whole way back and I'm like, okay, I can't hang out with my friends this summer. I'm not going to the pool. I have to buckle down and figure out how to make a buck because at this point, I won't see a buck until the end of October. And so I literally put my in my mind I had you could ask my friends at the time, they were all mad at me. You just because I'm the kind of person to call and just establish boundaries. I was like, hey guys, here's the deal, I can't hang out this summer, I hope you have fun. Like they were so mad, you just called us and said we're not hanging out, and I'm like, yes I did, I was drunk. Right, like I said, did because I know myself. If you call me and say, "Can we go?" I'm gonna go, or I'm gonna want to go, or FOMO comes in. So I just knew. I'm like, "Don't call me. Do not call me. I have to figure this out." So that was June 1 I got in, and I remember I set goals, and I was like, "Okay, I have no money. I was like, at that time, in my experience with real estate, could not fathom how you could close anything in 30 days. I didn't know about cash deals yet. I didn't know about
Right.
that.
You were
I
just learning.
couldn't fathom that. So I was like, okay, this month's a wash. I'll be living on credit. That's where I was at. Okay, this month's a wash. Pay my mortgage off of a credit card, like somehow. So then I like, okay, but June, I could meet somebody here in the next couple of weeks. I could meet two people and we could find something and I could close in June and that could pay my bills for June, maybe catch up on, or sorry, July and catch up on June. So I set two. So I will
Mhm.
find two and close two in July. Then I went like this and thought to myself, and I go, but if I'm collecting people all this long, like the whole month of June, I was like, I could potentially meet five people more and we could then close in August. I was like, so what if I do two in July because I can see this? And then what if I could do five in August because I could see it? I was like, yeah, I could see that. I could see that. And I tell all the agents I coach, can you see it? What does your gut say? Like I actually sat with my gut and
Mhm.
was, do you, because your gut will tell you, right? If I had said, oh, I'm going to close 8 in June, guess you could feel the immediate, no, you're not. It's, like you could say
Right, right,
whatever
right,
you
right,
want to
right,
say, but
right.
your guts, no, you're not, no, you're not. And that voice is more powerful than this voice.
Absolutely. It's your gut.
Yes, and you better pay attention because if you don't, you're going to end up at spinning your tires, not getting anywhere and not understanding why. So I don't know where I learned that that's another story, but I sat with myself, I came up with the goal, and then I went to work. And here's the thing, I didn't know what to do. I was like, I knew open houses. I knew that. I'd had a friend who'd been in for 30 years and he swore by them. So I
Mhm.
decided that day, I'm going to be in open houses until I don't have to be. I'm going like I reasoned with myself. I had a little heart to heart with myself. I said, Renee, you don't have to show up anywhere ever unless it's a showing, but there's no like clock in, clock out. So what is a 4 hour Sunday going to kill you? Not that I was like having issue, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just swallowing the Sunday
You do
pill.
4 hours in Virginia?
So I was actually building in what it took to get ready, go and come out. Like
Ah,
I was
okay.
like, that is your commitment, right? Because it's Sunday, it's the weekend. Again, back to people hanging out, friends going doing things, and me saying to myself, I'm not doing these things because I have to make money. Like I
Right.
have to, no, so no, it's too actually, to be fair, I've seen people do them all day. I've seen people like it's
Yeah.
changed a lot,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, it was just 2 hours. But I was building in, printing
Yeah.
everything out and getting the
No, it
balloons.
takes one open house actually takes up your entire day. That's the truth of the matter. You get home, and if you've done it right, there's a lot of energy that you've expended in talking to people and just being there, being present, listening, and you get home and you don't really feel like doing anything else after an open house. And then in the morning, you're worried about being late and getting your signs out and doing all that stuff. So you don't really have the morning either. So it really takes all day long when you think about it. And then because you haven't answered your emails and haven't done all the things that you should do during the day because of the open house, Mondays are usually fairly hellacious because you have twice the work that you normally have to do. I don't think people realize how much is involved. I get around 500 emails a night, and about 50% of them are actually things I have to do something about.
Which is still, that's 250. That's legit. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's
And
legitimate.
yeah, and I carry a listing load that's pretty huge, so that makes
Yeah, that
sense.
helps. Yeah, add to it.
But still, there's just a lot of work that people don't realize goes into these things.
I know. And so for me, I don't know how many emails I get because one of the things I left teaching higher ed online with, this little side story, but we were required online to reply to emails within 24 hours, or
Oh,
we
you
were,
told me
I
about
did
this.
tell you this, or we were potentially subject to penalization of down to you could lose courses. That's your income. So I think as I told you, I was like, I decided because I know myself that if I were to just, oh, I'll just do it all at the end of the day. And then if I didn't, I could be in trouble. I just did it as it came in. So I never actually know how many emails because I literally just jump into my inbox and just keep going.
Yeah,
Like when you're waiting somewhere for something, pop in your inbox. And because a lot of the stuff that comes in, you can handle with just a reply.
absolutely.
So it's just staying on top of that. But so yeah, my game plan, because I didn't know anything else, was to do open houses. And then I thought to myself, I remember driving around town looking at everybody on the road and thinking, there are people out here that know people that need to buy or sell. Like, how do I get to see these people? How do I meet these people? And then I realized, like at the time in the era that it was pre-pandemic,
Right.
I thought the teacher in me said, okay, what if I were to host like weekly buyer classes, like where you can
Great idea.
come. Yeah, at the time I was married to someone that owned a restaurant, and I thought I could have host it. I thought, oh, I'll support his restaurant by it's free space for me. They can come into the restaurant and I'll just pay for a few appetizers and they can buy drinks if they want. And we'll just do an hour, go over the ins and outs of buying a house. And so between those two things, I sold two houses in July of it's 2018. Oh, I know it was 2018 because my puppy passed away. I sold five houses in August of 2018 and my puppy passed at the end of it all. And I had five set up for September, but because he was like my only child when he passed, I lost three of them and I didn't even care. You know,
Right.
people don't understand, like you have to be in this. Like you really have to be in it and moving it or it'll unravel itself. Like they just don't understand how strong the weave is of an agent into the fabric of a deal. Like we really keep and if something happens where we get like I did, get out of sorts, that can unravel
Absolutely. You
unintentionally.
have to be up to be a salesperson.
Yes.
I have a kind of a policy with my clients where I'm honest with them to a point, but if I have some big emotional thing going on, for the most part, I don't tell people. I don't do that until I get to know them really well.
Yeah. And
It,
then you're like friends. I didn't say anything. I just let it unravel. Like I did
okay.
notable moment in my career that summer. Needless to say, when the school emailed me in August to be like, "You want your classes for the fall?" I was like, "No, I'm good, thanks." It's like that's how the career changed because I was just
Yeah.
like, I made that summer more than I made teaching a full roster of classes for a year.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
again, I'll be on my little soapbox here. It is absolutely criminal that
Yes.
teachers are not paid in this country. I have friends who are teachers in public schools. I have taught myself at universities. I have a lot of friends who teach at universities. And again, unless you're a tenured professor, you are generally not being paid essentially a living wage. And it's insane.
No.
That is wrong. You cannot live in the neighborhoods that I serve as a realtor on a teacher's salary. It's
No.
possible.
We're there. It's close to poverty what they
Yeah.
pay you.
Yeah. And yet
Absolutely.
you've got specialized training. You've gone to school for it.
Degrees.
You have degrees for it. It's really sad to me. But
It was look, so that's why after I got in and learned how to navigate this business, I decided to start coaching because it was a way for me to go back
the
to
teaching.
that, yeah, and teach. And so I was able to, the company I'm with allows us to recruit in 28 countries. So I've been able to coach around the world, but then I decided I would create an online course that would teach agents how to go from an empty funnel with no sphere of influence, which is what I had, to building something sustainable for themselves. And the open house, I have a whole course. It's called Open Houses 101. And I
Right.
literally explain everything because you'll respect this. The academic in me couldn't help myself. So I'm at open houses and I'm just like, so I'm doing a study. I'm doing a social science study. Okay, so what happens if I say it like this to the next person that comes in? Or what happens? Like I'm paying attention to responses.
Right.
And obviously individuals respond differently, but here's a little quick secret. One of the things that I learned quickly was don't ask if they have an agent. Never ask a yes or no question because they're ready for a yes or no question. Can I help you? No, I'm good. Thanks. Like we're ready. But what they're never ready for is, hey, so this is the house and here's a couple things I love. The backyard is big, it's fenced in. We've got huge walk-in closets. And by the way, who's your agent? And they're like, huh? Like that nobody's ready. So if they didn't come prepared, you're going to find out the truth, right? Not that I'm trying to bait these people, but it's like they'll always say no, but
Right.
they may miss the chance to work with you because you're an incredible agent and such a great person because their instinct is to say no instead of
Most
asking
people are like, yeah.
immediately. And they don't get to know you or have it right. And now here's the other secret. I didn't, as soon as they said, oh, I don't have one, I didn't jump on them. I'd be like, oh, good. Good news is you don't need one to be here. Great. Go look around. I let them go. So they're
Although with
all
all the new paperwork, it's a little bit more tough to
yeah,
get.
I kind of front end the paperwork. I just make sure that question's one of the last things I say, and then
Mm.
I let them off to look at the house. And then I just gently be like, it would mean so much on your way out if you could please let me know the thing you like the most and the thing you like the least. Again, they're like students. If you give them very
Right.
specific tasks, nine
Right.
times
Right.
out of
Right.
10, they'll accomplish them.
No,
We're
it's
walking away.
true.
She said the thing I like the most, the thing I like the least. It's in their head. And so 9 times out of 10, guess what? They walk back. So we really like they just start talking, which is great because you got them to come back to you and it wasn't awkward. So
Right.
now they're back and you're like, oh, hey, glad you came back, is what I'm thinking. Never say that. That's weird. And then they would tell me and I'd be like, hey guys, like, I know this doesn't sound like that it's the house for you, but and I very casually asked them to get into a drip campaign. Like, so, Realtor.com and Zillow can tell you, but we have actually an MLS system which will notify you the second something like this lists because you know how fast they go, whatever the market ploy
Right.
situation.
Right.
And that's how you decide. Their response to that will determine if they like you enough to entertain the idea of having you as an agent, or they'll be like, oh, thanks. No, we're good. Okay, great. But to me, I discovered that was such an easy way to engage and find out who your people were instead of 9 times out of 10, I'm getting no if I ask the question, do you have an agent?
Absolutely. There's a wonderful book called Getting to Yes. Do you know
Mm.
about it? And that book is the same. It talks about the same thing, that you never set yourself up for a full stop. Because if you set yourself up for a full stop, the conversation is over. They've moved on. You have to move on. So that's a beautiful way to handle that. Now, you mentioned that you coach, and I'm curious about, have you ever had a coach yourself?
Yeah. So I actually still do. So I don't believe that you can actually grow. So if your goal is to grow, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be
Right.
huge. You just be like, I want to learn how to do real estate, or I'm stuck selling $100,000 houses. I want to get to 300. It could be that basic, or it could be like,
Right.
hey, I'm achieving $500,000 and I want to know how to make this a global enterprise. Like you
Mhm.
have to continue. I believe that you want to be in constant coaching. And that might be I don't know if you feel the same, the
I
educatorness.
do. I have a coach that I've worked with for 8 years, but she keeps me really accountable, and she also helps me through crises, etc.
Yeah. It's
Great
just
person
somebody
to
that
talk
you're
to.
checking in
I
with.
call it therapy for real estate agents. So,
Whatever you're trying to accomplish. I have multiple coaches. Like I have a fitness coach. I've had him for 5 years. I've got a social media coach. I've had them for a year. Like anything that you're trying to scale, I
right.
suggest you endorse a coach. What's
Mhm.
really cool. Yeah, I think the only last thing is the course I started. So I started a course. So in order to help agents build a career, I thought the one thing look, we have this is what I said. This is exactly what I said. I said, I can go to university. I taught there for 15 years, and I could never say to a student, if you take this class, I can help you make this much money. Could never do that. There was no
Right.
correlation where I was like, I could create a course where I could literally say to somebody, if you take this class, right, which is not going to cost you nearly what an entire degree would cost you, I can show you can make this money and you can scale to this and I can show you. So I
Mhm.
created a blueprint off the story I shared earlier, the 2 deals in July and the 5 deals in August. I made a blueprint. I said,
That's
if you
beautiful.
do this and you follow this and you do what I did, which was I shut out the noise and I focused and like the mindset work and like you said, following your leads, making sure you're tracking your progress. And my other phrase that I coach with is new and now. Okay. So every single week, I want to hear your new and now. I don't want to hear about the people you met 3 weeks ago. Like, not that they're not important and they're not in your funnel, but if we're not talking about new names and new numbers every single week, your business is dying. Like, you're literally dying. So, my new,
You crack me up because my coach, my first coach, she was very hard on me. And she would always be, whenever I would start in with something, she'd be like, too bad, so sad, let's move on.
so the
I
Canadian in me would never be that harsh.
and I got so mad. I would get so, but
You'd
I
be like, so I was really sick this weekend. She's like, too bad, so sad. Where's your clients?
exactly.
No, so I don't want to hear about I just say I don't want to hear about your old names. I want new names. And so I watched it, one of the guys took me very seriously and he gets excited. Like every time he gets a new name and number, I'm getting a text. He's like, I got another one. I got another one. And he's filling his funnel. Like this huge
Yes.
funnel is building for him. It's
Right,
gonna
right.
just avalanche one day. I always said to people, real estate is kind of like pushing a snowball up a hill. You can't tell, like when you first start, it's this little tiny thing. If you don't know about snow, you're gonna have to Google this. But the Canadian in me knows exactly what this is. If you're pushing, right, it gathers snow, but then all of a sudden you'll be rolling and you can't see around it. And you're doing some business, but this is getting heavy. And then one day, you guys, one day, and it took 18 months for me. That thing went over the hill and it was just an avalanche of business. And that is exactly what happens if you dedicate yourself and commit, like the staying power that this generation's missing is what the problem is. Like I said 18 months. I said I would stay in open houses as long as it took. And it took me, I was hoping a year. It took 18 months. And then all of a sudden I had to show property. I couldn't be there anymore.
Yeah.
Bam. And then now guess what? It's just this ball that keeps rolling. And again, if you dip out of the business, we'll do this. But if you've had that ball rolling, it will continue. So yeah, anybody that's looking for a coach, I reach behind me to pull up. So yeah, happy to coach.
Very wonderful. Give us your information so that any of my listeners can find you.
Everything I just talked about, I have a 50 free minute training on it that you can watch over and over again. And it's at platinumagentaccelerator.com. So everything we just talked about, you can go there and listen to it for free. I tell you everything I did, everything. If you're interested in the coaching side of it, when that video is done, you can book a call. We can talk about that. Otherwise, you can find me all over the place. It's Renee Ruth Real Estate on every application or every social app that exists.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You're a delightful guest. I loved being on your show.
And, it's so great.
What is the name of your podcast? So
Platinum Agent. Hold on. What is the name of my podcast? Platinum Agent Podcast. I was trying to keep the coaching theme. So Platinum Agent Podcast. Yeah. Because everybody I have on is like you. They're educating. My podcast is educating agents on how to be better. So
yeah, most excellent. Most excellent. You're a doll, and I hope you stay in good touch. I think you're an amazing person. I love your energy. It's infectious.
And I think you're fabulous. I love meeting you, and I love meeting a fellow educator. There's a heart for that. And I thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Of course.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Realizations Podcast. I hope our conversation has shed light on the true essence of real estate and the people behind it. As we wrap up, I want to extend my gratitude to our listeners for their support and engagement. Your feedback drives the heart of this podcast, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing to the Realizations Podcast and leaving a review. Your support helps us reach more listeners and spread our message of positivity in the real estate industry. Until next time, remember to keep an open mind, embrace empathy, and always seek the good in every situation. I'm Andrea Gordon, signing off from Realizations. See you next time.